dressing up in a suit strictly because it's Monday, that I was different. What is up, you guys? Hi, my name is Quincy the QT. Thank you for clicking on this video and bringing me to your screen. Happy 3rd annual DSU Day. Happy 3rd annual DSU Day, guys. Whoop whoop, go State. As you can see, I have my gear on, HBCU made. Alum class of 2020. Shout out to us, man. So if you did not already know, how did I know about DSU Day? Why don't you go click off this screen, pause this video, and go click on DSU Connect. I will leave a link down in the bio if you are a student, prospective student, or faculty, you know, or just part of the DSU fam, you know, go down and join DSU Connect. Okay, now moving on. I'm here because as I'm approaching my 1-year anniversary since I graduated, wow, whoop whoop, I also, and you know, we're here to celebrate DSU Day in all of its glory. I wanted to share with you guys my HBCU experience at the Delaware. Now, disclaimer, I did not have like the obvious normal matriculation where you're first year freshman, blah blah blah. I started out as I graduated high school with 18 college credits, so I had a full semester and then some of college already finished. So I had like electives, English already done. So when I first was already coming in, meanwhile some people, or most people, were coming in with 0 credits, or just like, and I was lucky enough that that DSU accepted my credits because I did something called College Now in New York, and that just basically, and this other college that's close by partnered with my high school, so I got those credits. And so when I got there and I said, oh, I have those 18 credits, I'm like, okay, I want to be a lawyer. I'm in college, I'm an undergrad to be a lawyer. Let me, and my original graduation date is December 2020. I didn't like that. I'm like, I want to be able to go to law school right away, right now, as soon as I graduate. So I said I wanted to move up my graduation date and graduate in May, and that's when I started a whole list. I might even put the screenshot here of my 2020 strong to graduate or something like that. I made a whole spreadsheet, planned it out freshman year so that I can plan out my graduation early, because to me that was the only way I was graduating early, which, you know, in 3 straight years, not 3.5. And life did not go that way. Oh, and so back to like the whole, and so in terms of like the whole like having an 18 strong, oh my, that's what it was. So when we first got on campus, your advisor, or again the president, he had announced this 15 strong to graduate plan, and so I named it my 18 strong to graduate plan because I said I'm going to take 18 credits a semester to graduate. So we're gonna start off from like when you're first picking colleges. So when I was in 7th grade, I think when I was in 7th grade, Hurricane Sandy happened, and I went to an arts middle school in my neighborhood. So basically that meant just like how you see on Victorious, not that creative in our class, like outside of classes, but just like how you see on Victorious and stuff, like where they have classes that are their arts. Like I think Tori didn't have the same class as one of the other girls on the show because, you know, her art was different. When I was in middle school, I was in an arts middle school, so my best friend, her art was like orchestra. My art was drama, you know, for like acting and stuff, because I wanted to be an actor at the time, actor. And you know, people have fine art, blah blah blah. And so I remember being in class, and no, I remember being on the phone with my best friend at the time, and this was in 7th grade, so we were about, what, 10 years old. And of course, I always knew I was going to go to college. It was just a matter of which college I was going to go to, what was I going to major in. Watched a bunch of college movies since I was like, I don't know, started watching TV. I would watch a bunch of college movies, and I just loved it, from like seeing the fake Greekdom on, and of course most of these characters were white, so I would see like their fake or maybe even real Greekdom. I don't know if they're real or not, but I would see their Greekdom, I would see their sisterhood, their bonding, I would see their like freshman experience, them going to parties at houses and stuff. Like, oh my god, I can't wait to experience that. And then, you know, like you have like your awakening, and or I had my awakening, found out I was black. But in 7th grade, this is very important, I found out in 7th grade, me and my best friend sat on the phone for like 5 hours during Hurricane Sandy, and we just were looking up colleges. We were so certain we were going to go to college in Canada, like, or in Boston, like Brandeis, King's College of Canada or something, Queen's College of Canada. Like, we were just, it's just, okay, we definitely knew it was not going to be New York, but we also were headstrong. It was not going to be this country or something. The region. Boy, were we wrong. Because, I mean, granted, we did switch regions, but we just ended up not even going to a PWI at all. I mean, granted, in 7th grade, I had no idea what a HBCU was, but that was like the beginning of my college search experience. Because when you're in middle school in New York City, 7th grade is a very, very, very big year, because just like how you have to take the SAT for high school, I mean for college, you have to take a SAT to get into specialized high schools in New York, and then if you don't get in, then you have to go to a regular high school, and literally there's only 8 specialized high schools in New York. And then and on top of that, you have to basically, like, 7th grade decides the rest of your life, because if you don't get into the right high school, they say you won't get into the right college, then if you won't get into the right college, you won't get the right job, blah blah blah, all trickle down. But all I knew was I was going to college. And I'm like, I'm going to Brandeis. And so I remember I had my heart set on Brandeis. And then I remember this, I was at a community program in my neighborhood at one of the Boys and Girls Club, and I ended up in that person. She is so amazing, shout out to her. She ended up showing us a different world out of, I think, a conversation we had about college and stuff, and my expectations on college. And so she ended up showing us the show A Different World. That was my introduction to A Different World. And I ended up, and it was such a battle too, because my college advisors in my high school had no idea what a HBCU was, and mind you, they're white. So my high school was basically like 99 or 90% black, the other 10%, or like 80% black basically, the other 20% is Hispanic. And they're just a bunch of different diverse black people there. You got your West Africans from Ghana, Guinea, Nigeria, you got your Caribbeans from Jamaica, Trinidad, you know, the Virgin Islands, you got yourself, then you got your regular Americans. So it's a very mixed school, and I just loved how that made me feel. So I said, I want to keep this feeling, and I want to go and I want to keep learning about my culture. And so I said, I want to go to a school with predominantly black people. I don't want to go to school with predominantly white people. And that's when I found out about HBCUs. And so I knew that a lot of HBCUs were in the South. I did not like hot weather at the time. Like, if it was over 70 degrees, your girl don't like it. I burn up. I become a horrible, very mean person in that weather, and I just wasn't having it. So I said, I'm not going to go to a school further down than Virginia, because I did a program in high school that I had stayed in Virginia for a little bit, for like, I don't know, a week or so. And I'm like, I don't want to be with all this grass. I don't do grasslands. You know, I'm a city girl. Like, grass, I'm walking on the concrete. And and then so I applied to Morgan. So, you know, again, I did not want hot weather, so that left me with very few HBCU choices. And so for me, automatically, obviously, hot weather, Spelman without the picture. I applied to Howard. I applied to Howard, knew I wasn't gonna get it. Alright, I applied to Howard knowing my grades were not like up there for Howard standards, but my mom was like, look, you can only all you could do is try. So I applied to Howard. I even applied to Harvard, but I applied to Howard. I applied to Hampton. I did like the Common Black app, and I applied to DSU, obviously. I applied to Morgan. I applied to Bowie, which you guys saw in my tour, like my vlog of me going on like a college tour video. I am the oldest grandchild, the oldest cousin, and I am the first HBCU graduate in my family. Of course, obviously that means I'm the first graduate in my generation, but also I'm the first between like my parents and my family to have stayed on campus. Even my younger cousins have not stayed on campus yet, you know, due to pandemic and other reasons, but I'm stayed on campus. So far I'm the only one that's gone away to college, and that was just like a beautiful thing. I thank my parents for that so much, because they never got to go on campus themselves, and that was just like a beautiful thing. So yeah, I applied, and then we walked on campus for open house, and it was everything I wanted. I felt at home, and I knew I would be able to choose my university home based on what I felt when I finally got on campus. And your girl felt at home as soon as she got to DSU campus. Came home after that. Everything I did after that, I would come home from school, come home from work, and I would just go on DSU's website and be like, that's gonna be me. Go on Instagram, follow people's pages, that's gonna be me. To see their like A's, see their grades and stuff, they'd be like, this was a hard semester, blah blah blah. That's gonna be me. I'm gonna have a hard semester, I'm gonna have a soft semester, I'm gonna have all A's, I'm gonna get a 4.0, 3.98, A++, Dean's List, President's List. That's gonna be me, boo. And I just was like, yo, I just fell in love with DSU. So that's like my little backstory on college, you know. Of course, my parents had like 2 degrees, so I'm not like the first in my family to ever go to college, but I'm not the first in my family to go to college, but I am the first in my family to go to an HBCU. So boom, that's a little backstory on my like why I chose DSU. And so now let's get into the actual like my experience. So there was somebody in my neighborhood. She also went to DSU, and she's class of 2019. I was class of 2020. Most like truly I was class of 2021. It's all very technical, but she already went there. So I was like, oh, well, what dorm should I stay in? She told me Evers, so I applied to Evers. Barely saw any dorm tours, posted mine, blah blah. And I really loved Evers. Meanwhile, everybody's coming from all these fancy things. Like, they had their own en-suites at home. They had, you know, even if they had siblings, they had their own room. Granted, I'm an only child. I already had my own room. But they're just like, they were used to doing other things. And so they just hated like Evers, or like they hated like the communal bathrooms. I loved it. It wasn't too bad. I had a great experience with it. You know, you didn't have to take out your trash. Like, you know, our bathrooms were clean for us periodically. I think like weekly or every day, as long as it wasn't like a holiday. Like MLK is always on a Monday, so obviously they wouldn't come and clean on that Monday. But other than that, a lot of stuff was clean for us. That, like, with the exception of those freshman dorms, Evers and Jenkins, to this day are like the only 2 on campus that you have cleaned for you. Because Tubman is taken down. So yeah, those are the only 2 on campus that get cleaned for you. Everywhere else you have to clean yourself. That was one reason why I chose Evers. I mean, not that I had anywhere else to go. Like, I think there was Towers, that's it. Towers and Tubman. Towers, Evers, Jenkins, and Tubman. Oh, and Laws. And so I'm like, but obviously Laws is taken down. Tubman is now turned into a whole different dorm than when I first got on campus. But yeah, Tubman was super hot. My friend was like, yeah, you're gonna be burning up in Tubman. don't choose Tubman. And honestly, it was that a different world experience in Evers. Like, you know, you go downstairs, you popping popcorn, you see people just hanging out in the basement, you see people just hanging out in the classroom, hanging out talking to the RAs. It was just that a different world experience. I had that in Evers. And I feel like I had that in every dorm, but definitely most specifically in Evers. It was so fun. And so yeah, I chose Evers. And Evers was just super fun. You know, I made my best friends for freshman year at orientation. Shout out to Tori and Mayer. And I remember when I first got on campus, like the current president, Dr. Harry L. Williams, he was like, look to your left, look to your right. The person sitting next to you is not going to be the person that's going to be beside you when you graduate, which is so crazy because it truly was not. Like, the people that I started college with, unfortunately, were not the same people that I finished with. And I mean, it hurt a little bit but it's just like, it was a natural growth. Like, my mom would always say that people are meant to be in your life for a season, a reason, and a lifetime. And I ended up getting some great seasonal friends. I ended up getting some great reason friends, and I ended up getting some great lifetime friends, and I wonder who's really gonna stick around now. But so far, my college friends are my lifetime friends. Like, but my freshman year friends were basically like for freshman year or at freshman semester, you know what I'm saying? And that was amazing. It was an amazing time to experience so many new things with them, to just have a tribe that accepted me. So, because my best friend was a vegan and the other one was from the DC area. So it's just like, we knew each other, and it was awesome. It's like, you know, walking our friend back to Tubman, the original Tubman, not the fake new one. I literally got to watch a whole building be built my entire like sophomore year. I got to watch this building be built, you know, having my first homecoming, the Black Panther movie coming out. I would say also, like, it was something that needed to happen. Like, I had to be away for that to happen, because I feel like if I was in New York, or if I was in New York City, or if I was even in New York State, I would just be with people who are from New York, so it wouldn't really challenge me. And when you're in a PWI experience, or at the time, a lot of my friends back home, they had already been in college 2 years, so at this time they're seniors while I'm a sophomore, and they're just like, and I'm telling them, oh, you should dress up on Mondays, and they're like, why? I'm like, because it's Monday. For what? And mind you, on campus as a freshman, I'm seeing all these men dress up in Mocha Mondays. Just because it's Monday. It's Mocha Mondays. The men are coming out in their suits. Like, it's Wednesday. Women are coming out from all different orgs. Greek orgs, regular orgs, like NAACP, whatever. They're coming out dressed to the nines in their business casual, in their business attire, just going to class. The class is not even required. It's just because your org requires it that you're going there, because you made a commitment to your org. That was just a beautiful thing to see, because of course I saw like black men in suits, because I see my dad in suits like all the time. Like, my dad, that's like his daily attire, plus he's a Mason. So, but seeing somebody young like my age dressing up in a suit strictly because it's Monday, that was different. That was like one of the HBCU like versus PWI experiences that I have, and that was just something that was different, and that just separated me from my friends back home. I would say also, like, something that's different at HBCU that I found my friends back home at their different various PWIs didn't want to do were get cool with their professors. See, at HBCU, you get cool with your professors. I'll be in my professor's office hours, like, everything. Anytime I had a free time, I'm at my professor's office hours, and not just to get a good grade, but just like, you need to get to know your professors, and they need to get to know you. When they get to know you, that's the difference between you getting a C and an A. And it actually did work with me, because my friend ended up getting a C in the class, and then I ended up getting an A. It's crazy. And then also, like, my professors, I was not just a number to them. Like, they truly did care about me, because when I told y'all I was depressed, and during one of those times I ended up having you know, I ended up starting to get tired as we got along further and further along in the semester, from stretching myself way too thin. And that professor was able to call me out on it multiple times, have these conversations with me, tell me I need to just tell me how smart I am, reassure me how much potential I have, but I'm not reaching it because I'm stretching myself too thin. Like, this professor saw me, and this professor said, and it was multiple professors, but this professor said, all right, I need to speak to you, and I need to make sure that you understand, so that you're not, like, sabotaging your own self. And that was such a wake-up call. And it just was just telling me, like, you know, you could do it. And I realized a lot of people didn't have that at, like, their PWIs and stuff. And of course, like, being away was fun, but also, like, another difference was, or this is now, like, differences between being in New York and being a DSU. So I would say, like, being in New York City, like, you know, you could easily just hop on a train and go anywhere. And granted, I'm not, like, from, like, the train lifestyle, because I have to walk to a bus and a train. But it just was cool that I'm in a whole different area. Like, everybody else is just sad and homesick because they're comparing it to their house. I never got homesick. I never wanted to go back home. It just was so, to me, like, being at DSU was just seeing, like, a glass ceiling, because I was away from New York. And it's just like, oh, I got to see everything that New York was not allowing me to do. Like, yo, you get to truly smell the roses here. Y'all got roses. Y'all got grass. Y'all even have a Target. That's, like, mind-blowing. Like, oh my gosh, I've never thought I could ever shop at a Target. I always thought Target and Walmart were, like, white people stores, and, like, they only put them in white neighborhoods. And boom, whoa, I was able to go to a Walmart for the first time, a Target for the first time, like, what, even a Ross. Like, I'm like, Ross is just something that you see in the South. You know, I heard of a new term called the DMV. You would have thought that's Department of Motor Vehicles, honey. No, it's also the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. Like, growing up in New York, you think you're truly, like, the only thing, all you think of is New York. I'm here, and now I'm finding out that there's also, like, a whole nother tri-state area other than New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Like, because that's all I knew my entire life. That's all that they talk about. Jersey, Connecticut, Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Jersey, New York, Connecticut. And then you go to, and, like, I went out of state, and now I'm finding out that there's the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, whole nother tri-state area. Delmarva, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia. That was one thing. And totally forgot, y'all, I also went to Ghana, and I feel like that was another thing, because we had so many opportunities that a lot of people just let pass them by. But it's just, as they talk about on most HBCU campuses, it's whatever you choose to get involved in. And so I know my boyfriend said he didn't have, like, the craziest or like the nicest HBCU experience, of course, also due to the pandemic. But we also, like, it's really what you involve yourself in. If all he involved himself with, to, like, honestly, was, like, the radio station. But there's so many different things. You have the radio station, you have the TV studio, like, some of our departments were so small that, like, we all knew each other. We all always ran into each other. It was honestly a beautiful time. I love my HBCU experience. I ended up failing 2 classes, yes, 2, and one of them was a very easy class. It's just that I was depressed, and I kept trying to juggle things, so I ended up being busy, not productive. And so I was busy. I was in this org, that org, did this for the org I was the president of. I did that for this org. I was also an RA, and then basically they melt the crap out of me being an RA. And I was going through a lot being an RA too, because this was my second semester being an RA. Couldn't get any work. I had to, every time I would turn around and do work, somebody needed to be talked to, somebody was trying to talk to me, and I just did not want to say no. I felt like I couldn't say no, so I didn't say no. And then that resulted in me, you know, And then that resulted in me not having time for myself, or the time that I did have for myself, it was like pleasure time, or it was just like sleep, eat, and even sleeping, I barely did. And so I started to forget things. I started to forget I had work due, not even know I had work due. It was crazy. So then that put me on academic probation with being an RA, and I ended up having, and then that's literally the reason I was fired. I was fired from being an RA because once you're put on academic probation and then you don't pass, you are fired. And so after being put on academic probation, your girl got a D, which brought my GPA down below a certain, I forgot what the number was, but it brought my GPA down. And that basically was like violating the academic probation. And that was another thing also, because I was an RA. I'm like, okay, I need to do my work. Oh no, we need you to check out right now, you have a job to do, blah blah blah. And so every time I went to do it, and I also had to pack for Ghana when in my redeeming semester. So I ended up failing a class at the very last minute. Not failing, but I got a D because I submitted all the work the day after classes ended. And that's horrible. Don't be like me. But that happened. And so I ended up failing a class. Not only, and again, I ended up failing a class, and I ended up not getting the passing credit I needed for a certain class, which brought my GPA down and got me fired. But I'm not gonna lie, getting fired from that job was the best thing that happened to me, because that time as an RA was so stressful, so lonely, so trying on my mental health. It made me really want to commit. I was trying to get hit by a car while talking to my mom one day because I just felt very lonely and I wanted somebody to see me. It felt like nobody truly saw me. I just was working for people. I was working for somebody else. I was literally somebody's pawn, somebody's tool. And it didn't feel like I was able to be myself, because, you know, there was basically a whole nother hippie on our team. Because my building had 10 RAs, or 8 RAs and 2 SRAs, and I was like one of 3 veterans, like RA veterans. Then this whole group of like newbie fresh RAs came on the scene, and they really made me feel like I was nothing, because they just wanted, their personalities were so strong. My personality was strong, her personality was strong, and then there were like other strong personalities backing this one personality that was against mine. And then there was, you know, just workplace politics, and it just was really like toxic, and I was done. And then again, the fact that it just led me into a depression because I just felt so alone. And yeah, I had friends during that time, but when it came down to things that I was going through, like my dad threatening me to get a student loan, because when I was in college, he was like, I'm not going to graduate with loans. Then I did graduate with loans. Talk about that in a separate, talk about that a little later. But, whew, what else? Okay, I wrote down like a list, but okay, so okay, yeah, that RA time is a lot to unpack, but just the whole thing of being an RA was, again, very trying on my mental health, and a lot of it truly led to my depression, because I was just constantly in a battle. Like when I came home, I was not really home, I was at work. And you know, like a lot of people, or when you're not an RA and you're just a student, you get to come home, or you get to go to your bed, and yeah, you may have a roommate, but you're in your bed and you get to relax for the most part. You get to do what you have to do. For me, I had to relax. I did get the chance to relax, but my time, like my energy, everything was truly dedicated to being an RA. And I was so scared that I was gonna get it taken away from me at one point in time, because it's just like, you know, how was I gonna live on campus? I'm from New York. Like, I can't just I can't just like drive here, take the bus here. Like, this is my dream school. I'm not gonna stop going to school. I'm not gonna like put and then I'm graduating in 2020 regardless. I don't care what's happening. I'm graduating in 2020 regardless, and I'm graduating from Dell State, DSU, from an HBCU, my HBCU, DSU. But yeah, that was a very trying time for me. It was just tough. It was tough for me to be myself, because it felt like whatever I did, even then on after, like the RA, the job I ended up getting afterward, it just felt like I was, like, who I was did not match with the box that you had to be put in. Like the underhanded cuts, it just felt like a lot of underhanded cuts. And I'm glad that my skin's still smooth to this day. Like, I'm glad I healed from it, but that just took a whole toll on me. You know, I feel like also college made me closer to my parents. Coming from like a split family household, I feel like college made me so close to my parents, because I was finally able to be away, that I was finally able to just take off the notion of this is my mom's place, my dad's place. I was able to have a life of my own without having to worry how it affected my parents. That was beautiful. I would say again, it's like I said, it's my second depression. And you know what, I planned for graduation. I planned. I'm a planner. Like, as much as I like to leave things to chance, I'm also a planner. And I ended up not graduating with a job, and that was like truly the most craziest thing that happened to me, because I've always thought, oh, I'm gonna get a job, oh no, I'm gonna graduate with a job, blah blah blah. Did your girl graduate with a job? No, but I can't really beat myself up for that. I graduated literally in the pandemic. I've been applying since last November, like since basically last October maybe. Yeah, I've been applying for a long time. It's just I haven't gotten anything back. Also, on top of that, that was my pandemic experience. I would say also the graduation thing. I've always dreamt of my college graduation, blah blah blah, and I've always dreamt of it, you know. Like, to me, I remember being in high school, graduating high school, and I said, this doesn't matter. What matters most is my college graduation. Like, everybody graduates high school. Come to find out, not everybody graduates high school. And but you know, I'm like, everybody graduates high school. Like, why would I care that I'm graduating high school? Everybody does this. I can't wait to my college graduation. That's gonna mean something. I will have worked really hard for it. You know, like, you don't really work hard for your high school degree. I mean, for your high school diploma, like, it feels like you don't. But and then I was on campus. One of my good friends graduated in December. I remember like imagining getting, like, being excited that I got to be an RA, so I got to stay in like an extra day just to see my friend graduate on campus. And I didn't have to like leave campus because I was in a dorm that you can't leave, that they force you out for breaks and stuff. And I saw everybody graduate in December, saw people graduate in May. Came time for my graduation, and even pandemic or not, they were already gonna cancel it. It was a done deal. They didn't want to plan it. They felt like they didn't have enough students. They had enough students, they just didn't want to do it. The event planner, even, she quit. Like, no, she didn't quit, she retired. But it was a bunch of stuff going on. And honestly, I applaud Howard, like, students for doing what they're doing now, because it felt like a lot of us wanted to do stuff about what was going on our campus, like the mold situation. And luckily I did not have any mold, but I had to deal with it, you know, being an RA and stuff. And you know, it's just crazy. I applaud Howard students for sticking up for what they want, because it just felt like we were always sort of didn't want to stick up for what we wanted or what was going on campus, because they were threatening to take away stuff. Like, I know I was like, I didn't want to post, and then they say I can't graduate because because they were offended by something I had posted or something like that. Granted, there's also other reasons I couldn't post, again, like not having the resources to edit, but yes. And lastly, I would say is graduating in a pandemic and how the pandemic affected my college experience. And so I would say that was a really, like, that was, I don't even know what was like the worst time of my life, but I would say like the two best times of my college like place were my freshman semester, because everything was just so new, and my junior semester, because everything was just so fun. I didn't have the ankle or the shackles of being being an RA, but I knew exactly what to do. Where things were, how to navigate everything. But the top two worst were definitely the pandemic, and definitely like that sophomore semester where I failed the 2 classes, because it was basically that 2018 semester, because that's basically where everything just went awry. Everything went horrible. And I say this because the pandemic, you know, when you're a senior, it was basically came in the first part of my senior year. I just got my boyfriend. I spent my spring break in New York, and I said I was never going to do that again. And I spent my spring break in New York, and I hated it, because of course, who wants to be in New York for spring break? I didn't even want to be in New York, period. I said the next time I come to New York as a senior, was gonna be me coming here to pack my stuff up and leave. Peace out. Never coming back. Only coming back just to visit my parents and my aunt. That's it. Like, bye. And I ended up, you know, coming here just as a people pleaser to my friends. And I ended up having, you know, being forced to stay here because of the whole pandemic. And honestly, because we were still in classes, it gave me something to wake up in the morning for, to get up in the morning for, or just get up for. It felt like I had nothing to get up for other than classes. So classes, I would say, got me through the pandemic, the first year of the pandemic. Yeah, I had my boyfriend. Yeah, I had like my one friend basically that I would talk to beside him. But it was just the pandemic the classes gave me something to get up for while we were in the midst of a pandemic, and I was in a place in life that I never thought I would ever be, home in New York. But in terms of the pandemic, I'm not happy, I'm not super grateful, but I do understand everything happens for a reason. So thank you if you stuck around. To the end of this video, thank you so much. And I have a super surprise for you guys. My HBCU experience is not only something that you have to figure out and what happened through this video. You get to watch the entire thing on December 12th, because my HBCU college vlogs will be coming out December 12th this year, 2021. So look out for that. Along with everything I've been doing since I graduated. So yeah, if you want to know what I've been doing, on some videos of what I've been doing since I graduated will also be on my channel with my boyfriend JB and QT. Go check out that channel. I'll leave the link in the description box below, and remember to watch out December 12th for my college vlogs to drop. They'll be dropping on December 12th, which is the day I would have graduated had we had an actual ceremony. Comment a lot if you made it to the end of this video. But thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
You ready? And begin.
Hey y'all, it's Quincy the QT. Stay. Okay.